You got it. All right, thank you for coming. So this morning, I filled out the sheet here for you for roll call. We have the minutes that were distributed from our June 5th meeting. Seems like it was so far away. And if anybody has any additions, deletions, or corrections, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll ask for a motion of acceptance. Just. And second, Dr. Wilson.
You got to speak for me, Dr. Bennington.
Second.
Thanks.
Thank you. So, since we were off all summer and today is still September 18th, I'd like to take a moment just for September 11th remembrance. We had amazing remembrance ceremonies around the state and across the country, actually. A lot of other states were involved and did amazing programs to remember everybody from 9/11. So I'd like to just take a moment of silence. Thank you very much. Anyone would like to comment or make any announcements? Okay, thank you. We have a ton of old business to get through today and a bunch of new things going on around the region. First, we'll start with the collaborative protocol rollout update. Michael?
We too, the protocol committee took the summer off as well. So we have, and then we have a conflict with the meeting for next week because of the SEMSCO meeting. So we're going to resume in October, and we're going to pick up with the policy and procedure manual. From the New York State BLS protocol perspective, which I am also on, that is moving forward at the state level, and we should be hearing more about that and the status of that next week. But it will look exactly like the collaborative protocol, same format, except designed for the BLS providers.
And also that the policy material you sent out, I reviewed. It looked really good. Yeah.
So we need to talk about that.
Yeah, and then
there's another hole that Jeff found. So that's what we're working on. And there's not sweeping changes, just stuff that we need to clean up a little bit.
Well, it was really like also a reorganization and to put certain things in that manual. So we'll submit it to everyone on the committee once protocol is finished. But the first pass looked really good. And it's organizationally wise, taking out the stuff that doesn't need to be in the collaboratives but belongs to our region that we will keep separate. Narcan update, Bill.
Well, we have it available. We had some shortages and it was hard to get, but now we have a substantial amount of it in the office and we've been using it. Jeff will give you an idea of how many doses.
You have the usages and stuff.
We have the usages. We're running probably 40% over last year's totals. So far this year, we have distributed just over 1,000 doses. Last year, we didn't make it to 1,000 doses. We have seen it slow down a little bit the past couple of weeks, but summer use was pretty much as we anticipated, high usage. We do have 4 agencies that are applying for Narcan. Do you want to take care of that now?
Well, we can do it here, or we can do it under new business. But why don't we do it now? Yeah, that's fine.
We have Lenape Vac applying, New Hamburg, Pine Bush, and Upper Delaware.
And Pine Bush Vac.
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's great. So that's 4 more. All right. And during that time that the resources were low, what did they tell you to do? They just said we just have to hold on.
Yes. Pretty much.
But we did, we belong to a coalition group that they were able to go out to different places and get us a supply. So over the Labor Day weekend, we had none available for us here to distribute. So they went, and I believe Dutchess County was one of the counties that really chipped in gave us a bunch of Narcan to have available if it was needed. So although the AIDS Institute didn't have anything for us, the coalition group did come through and get some for us so we could distribute to the agencies that needed it for that weekend.
Okay, great. All right, thanks. Hospital diversion. I don't think we have anything more on that, right?
Not since we last.
Any other issues?
Just, we were gonna roll out that manual and stuff, did that occur?
No, because the way we left it at the last meeting, we had a very long discussion about it, and the way we left it was we weren't sure as whether we should go to the CEO or should we go to the emergency room, and where did we need to send that letter. So we did have it. We didn't roll out the manual at all, so we're kind of still just hanging with it.
So why don't we just send out the letter to everybody? Like an invite
okay,
to
but-
the CEOs. I mean, our current, when we send out an advisory from the REMAC, it goes to the CEOs, it goes to it goes to everybody. Why don't we just?
Yeah, I think it applies to everybody. I agree with Dr. Papish that the CEO has to definitely be on there because, they're the last straw for diversion. But I think everybody on the front line needs to know. And I think everybody needs to announce it at their department meetings and that this is where we stand. And so I think it's important for everybody.
Okay.
So should we do that as the next step in this endeavor?
Yeah. When does Gary come back?
We'll get it done.
I'm teasing.
We'll have it out by 1.
I'm teasing. Psychiatric patients and disposition issues. I've had nothing else come to our attention or our committee. Anybody have any issues? Boy, you guys are making this easy this morning. BLS protocols. Mike, you already spoke a bit about that. I don't think there's anything else more on that. The only thing is it's going to be a long process, right? It's not going to be.
Well, we'll find that out next week.
Yeah,
I mean,
on
literally,
Tuesday.
I know that, Dr. Daly has been in frequent contact with Lee Burns, and I don't see this process going very slow. I mean, it seems to be on a fast track by what I have seen and what I've been participating in. So I think we're going to hear something next week, and that'll give us a good indication. His goal was to have it out before the end of the year. So we'll see. We'll see how, obviously it'll depend on representation across the state. So we'll know more next week.
And I think that, one of the things that happens is, you have to abide by everything, the kind of the fences they have up. So, but he's moving along.
I mean, it seems to be moving.
Okay, evaluation subcommittee report. Oh, no, there's no service upgrade, sorry. A shot.
Do-
Oh, we do?
Well, no, that's, okay, never mind.
No, those are those
Yes,
programs.
yes.
I'll be announcing them.
So, quiet summer,
Yeah, I don't think we had any cases that came across, right?
but just a reminder to everyone, we exist. If there are any cases that warrant attention or some additional eyes, or if you just want some feedback from the providers, we're happy to review any cases you think merit the attention of the region.
Helicopter committee, Dr. Berkowitz is not here.
They had their Westchester meeting today also.
So that may be where they are.
Here, yeah. No, they sent emails saying they would not be able to.
Okay,
But there was no change in helicopter.
okay.
Process is all the same.
All right, QI, Jeff. Oh, I skipped over Artec, sorry.
New York State is still talking about releasing the Elite Bridge soon. It's the same conversation we've had for the last 18 months. The additions to the data dictionary that are New York State specific were pushed out to the vendors about 30 days ago, and pushback to the state came about 29 days ago. So they are still trying to figure out what they're going to do with some of the things that Mike Taylor wanted to add.
Okay, so it's still a work in progress.
Yes.
Kind of like our whole meeting this morning. Protocol committee.
Post-summer.
Yeah. But usually we have some things that we have to do. I mean, usually September meetings are a little bit more
I have nothing else from the protocol committee either at this point.
Holy moly. All right, we are flying. Under new business, so, did everybody get these out front? These were?
No, I didn't put them up.
Okay, so, we have to talk about the meetings for 2018. And what I'll do, our next one here is November 6th, but for 2018, the one conflict we see, we have January 8th, March 5th, June 4th, but to have it even out to be that specific Monday, it falls on September 10th, which is Rosh Hashanah. So I think we have to change that one meeting. And then the last one being November 5th. So everybody look at their schedules over the next week or so and try to get back to the office where you think we should go. Because Labor Day is up in the beginning of the month, we'd probably have to move it back to the 17th like we did this month. We can't go too far because we'll run into CMAC again, because generally there's a September meeting, which happens next week. So I've got nothing to report on CMAC either.
Just a quick, as I look at my calendar here, the Operation Lifeline has really taken up speed in the region. And, it may be good to get some representation from them involved in this group. I know there's been a lot of action on that aspect.
Lifeline, meaning the guys that fallen.
The American Heart Association?
Yeah.
Initiative?
Oh, the whole,
Mission Lifeline.
Mission Lifeline.
yeah, Mission Lifeline, there you go.
And
Okay.
so maybe we should make sure they get invited to this. Because it's I think a good forum. It looks like I think there's a meeting later this week, a teleconference meeting.
We could send an email to that lady that sends them out.
On Wednesday.
Yeah, I can't think of her name right now, but she was the one that headed that thing
Yeah.
up at West Point.
So maybe that would be something smart to do, Bill.
Okay.
Forward that email to him, and then he can see the name. That's the woman who directs all the scheduling with them. A few announcements, few new business. Putnam Hospital and Northern Dutchess Hospital under HealthQuest have submitted an application to New York State to provide a cardiac cath lab and become a PCI center for both. And we have both Dr. Butterfass and Dr. Wilson here if anybody has any questions, but they're putting forth an application to New York State to become a PCI center. Anything you guys need to add?
It's true.
What was the rationale?
Need for not only PCI, but elective cases, and HealthQuest to provide that type of service line that extends up north in the Hudson Valley to where we are.
And so they'll have the guys from Vassar and them go up?
Yes, and we'll have a call team, and we've established a protocol. We also have an educational rollout for EMS with the physician directors if this were to be approved. But, we're in the very beginning stages of this
Infancy
application
stages,
process.
yeah.
There's a good chance we might not even get approved, so we're at that stage, but we do due diligence and make sure we need to mention it today. We need to get it approved.
Well, I think it's always good, and then everybody's aware of what's coming down the pike. So it's all good. Then I was approached by the Ulster County Department of Health, who had put forth a plan with their local officials in the Ulster County EMS or EMO, Emergency Management Office. They submitted a grant and were awarded cyano kits, and a whole operational plan was set up. So they sent it to us for us just to announce here. They initially wanted us to sign off on it, and I said, we don't need to sign off on it. We have the protocol, and they're going to follow the protocol. Initially, they had a couple things that were different, but we pointed out to them they have to follow the protocol. But it's a very elaborate plan that they have set up between all the fire coordinators, the emergency management personnel, and all the fire officers in the area, and any kind of high volume agencies to provide and carry the cyano kits. So just an FYI there. And kudos to them. It's a great program. They really set it up well, but I told them we don't really need to sign off on that. It's more informational.
And Dr. Murphy, since they came out with that and ended up going across Dutchess County's desk, which came to my desk, some of the concerns that have already been addressed by some people, who's responsible for their medication? If I'm a paramedic at an ambulance, I've never seen that medication before. I show up at a scene and the fireman comes up and hands me medication. I have no idea what it is and tells me I'm supposed to administer it. The reaction isn't going to be pleasant. I'm going to be like, I have no idea what it is. I'm not going to do it. When they file the complaint back to here saying we had a patient that needed this medication and the paramedic refused to administer it, what's going to happen to that paramedic?
Well, it's part of our protocols. It's under the fire inhalation protocol, smoke inhalation protocol. So people should probably have educational processes on it if you're not comfortable with it through your medical director, because it is something that's out there. Granted, most fire companies carry it. It's not a lot of EMS agencies that have it. However,
Only two of my county.
yeah, yeah.
Both of them have paramedics with them.
Yeah, well, that's what most of the fire companies do, except that is changing some places. But it is under our protocol, so it is something that we expect people to, if they feel comfortable with it. Again, it's not something you're going to do something outside of your comfort level, but it's covered by our protocols.
But now, are these going to be temperature-controlled compartments that these fire departments are going to have this medication in?
That they have to. I mean, that's their responsibility if they're going to carry it. They're not governed by, us. They're really governed by what they have in their auspices. If they're going to take it from the protocol, it's under the formulary. So, but they'd have to. Otherwise, it's not going to work. It's not going to be.
Their operational plan does say that it will be in temperature
Yeah, there is a
controlled.
temperature-controlled environment. However, I don't boss them. I mean, I don't regulate them, but they have to follow protocol.
Okay, so we don't have an issue of medication that is out of control of the paramedic being administered by the paramedic.
Have issue with medication.
Medication is not in the paramedic control. They will never see it until that moment that it needs to be administered.
Well, the paramedic has to feel comfortable administering it, just like anybody else, just like any other medication you have. If they're not comfortable, they say they're not comfortable.
But that's if they have the medication. The paramedics aren't going to have it. That's what I'm concerned with. That this is going to be scattered throughout an area, and the paramedics have no control over it until the fireman comes over and says, here, they need to have this.
Different agencies.
Because depending on, and I'll use Dutchess County as an example, if we followed what Ulster is doing, and I would call in the middle of the county, which is a volunteer fire department, with their volunteer ambulance, depending on the time of day and everything else, it could be a totally different agency than they're normally used to dealing with their response to that call. The paramedics showing up having no idea who any of these people are, getting told, here, you need to give this to somebody, and having no idea where that medication has been for the last 18 months.
True. I mean, I think that if somebody hands you something out of your med box, you also don't know where
When
the
was the
stuff's
last
been.
time you traced every box of epinephrine in the,
But it's in my drug box, and I checked it that morning, so I know it's not brown. I know it wasn't just at an accident scene freezing for the last 4 hours.
So maybe we can just throw some education out there as a possibility. The paramedics got to check the expiration, all the rights of medication administration, if they're comfortable, great, if they're not great. Call med control if there's an issue.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
this is a life-saving medication.
Yeah, and I think that just like anything, we put the protocols out there to guide people and to help people, but I can't force anybody's hand to do anything. However, a cyano kit is an intact entity. It's not going to be hopefully broken open. So one, they're going to be handed an intact kit. Two, like Michael's saying, there is a expiration date on it, and I believe it has a temperature-sensitive colored thing. No, it doesn't have.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
There is a range, but I'm not aware of it.
Okay. And so that's just what we're going to have to go with. I think that it is life-saving. It's just like, how do we know when a family member walks out with a vial of Narcan or nasal aspiration device, that where's it been, what's it been doing, but if we can save somebody's life, we will. However, if somebody's uncomfortable, I can't force their hand to do anything. They have to be able to do what they feel is right and feel comfortable with. But since it's in the protocols, I would expect people to kind of have an idea of what it is as a paramedic. I think that, you know, in emergency medicine, I don't do every single procedure every day, but I pretty much feel comfortable that, you know, what walks through the door, I'm going to try to handle as best I can.
And I think the default of calling medical control is always, you know, a fallback that's very easy. The fireman just handed me this orange box. I'm not so familiar, but this is what I have, and this is what's in the you know.
Perhaps is a way of just simplifying it with the REMAC advisory, since this is a new program, just that REMAC authorizes any paramedic, protocols to administer,
Per protocol.
by fire departments in the protocol.
Yes.
So REMAC gives them permission to use it, once it's intact, and it's covered by their protocol.
Yeah, and as long as everybody's following the protocol, that's all that matters. That's what I said.
That's a good idea. Just clarifies
Yeah.
it.
That's pretty much what I said to Ulster too. They just have to make sure they follow the protocol. Michael?
Yeah, I'm chair of the EMS committee for state fire chiefs, so I just want to speak on the design of this.
Mike, can you stand up for me because the air's blowing, sorry.
The design of this was that it was fiscally improbable to put cyano kits on every ambulance. And since hydrogen cyanide and smoke inhalation is very prevalent in the fire service, the idea was to have the fire department have the kit with them. Therefore, when the EMS unit responds, be it a standby unit or all of a sudden develops an issue with a firefighter, etc., that cyano kit is available. The idea is not that a fireman is going to hand a cyano kit to you and say, you need to give this or give this to this guy. The idea is that the paramedic will make an assessment of the smoke inhalation individual, and if they believe, due to the circumstances, that there's a high probability that cyanide could be involved in this, that the cyano kit would be readily available to them to be notified of. That's the design.
And it's in concert too, because I think there's nobody better than a fire person to tell me what's burning and what's the risk of the gas right there and what's, you know, the flammable substance that's there. I mean, that's the other thing where I think it makes sense that fire keep control of it.
Between a fireground safety officer and the EMS unit.
So if I can also chime in, I hear what everyone is saying, and I certainly see and view this as an opportunity not only to save potential firefighters that may be down, but an excellent educational opportunity for EMS providers as well. So firstly, congratulations to Ulster County for going out and securing that grant, because this is an excellent medication that we should have for our firefighters locally. That's a great first step.
It's a good title for a podcast.
So, John, I also appreciate your concern, especially in regards to preparing the cyano kit for delivery or administration. It's not a straightforward process that's just drawing a medication out of the vial and administering it. So I do appreciate there is some concern from the EMS perspective. Hey, I've never actually trained on this. I'm not sure, am I supposed to use D5 water? Am I supposed to use normal saline? Can I use lactated ringers to do my 250 cc reconstitution? So for fire providers, or rather fire services, that normally respond to large alarm structural fires, and there's an EMS unit or agency tasked with doing the firefighter rehabilitation should it be necessary, I think it's a great opportunity to reach out and say, in extension or part of the firefighter rehab process, we may have extreme cases where either carbon monoxide or hydroxycobalamin are involved.
I'm sorry, say that again, the last one after carbon monoxide or what?
Or hydroxycobalamin are involved in endangering the life of a firefighter. It is a very high stress situation, and ideally we would want that medication to be administered as quickly as possible. So I would definitely encourage Ulster County to reach out to the EMS services in their backyards who may potentially either respond to a firefighter down or on a more regular basis provide firefighter rehabilitation services to help as a best practice for the administration should we need it in a critical situation.
Michael?
I spoke with both the director of their emergency management and their EMS coordinator after the packet of information came out. I provided them with some training tools as well as implementation tools, like a cheat sheet that we use, as well as what our kits look like and how they're built. And so, I certainly understand, John's concern looking at this. And I think that the other point that we made to Ulster County as well is that it is the region's responsibility to ensure that it is protocol driven. We approve the protocols. For a paramedic to administer part of the protocols, it's approved, it's already approved. We don't do the regulatory side of this. That's the responsibility of the Bureau. And so they've been encouraged to make sure that they communicate with the Bureau on those topics to make sure that everything is within the regulatory guidelines. And so that's where, we left it with them. I sent them a bunch of material.
I have received a letter from Lee Burns that she is aware of it, and she, supports them in doing this, so the Bureau is aware of it.
Yeah, that was attached to the...
Yes.
Yeah.
There are some logistical challenges that they have. They are aware of those logistical challenges, like temperature control.
Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions or concerns? But thank you, John. So CMAC is next week. I don't know, Arshad, anybody has anything they want to talk about? This is like the quickest meeting we're ever going to have. I have no pad.
Next time will be long.
Yeah, I have no pad, EpiPen, albuterol, or glucometers to you. Well, you did the people that are applying. I do have a bunch of announcements. We were busy with that for the summer.
Can I just do one more before you go?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we mentioned this, but the check and inject BLS Epi Inject program is available to all BLS providers now. So you might see providers doing, BLS providers doing the injection of Epi, just so everybody's aware of it.
Yeah, I think we did that the last
Okay.
time, because we talked about that. It finally got approved, and we announced with Lee's letter, I think.
Okay.
I think so.
I just wanted to make sure
No
that
problem.
everybody's aware that they could be seeing patients that's been injected.
Under Department of Health notifications, we have, the first one is Jeffrey Rumininski from Holland, New York. He's been suspended for 1 year and assessed a civil penalty of $2,000 for violations of Part 800. Again, we have, for the same violation, David Manashevarov out of Brooklyn, New York. He has, his certification has been revoked as of August. Matthew Argona out of Buffalo, New York, suspended for 2 years and assessed a civil penalty of $1,000 for violations under Article Part 800. And lastly, Woodhaven Richmond Hill Volunteer Ambulance Corps out of Ozone Park, New York, has had their certification, God, I can't speak, revoked effective August 16th for violations of the public health law, Part 800, and that was effective August 16th, 2017. Don't see many agencies under there. And that's under notifications. Brings us to open forum. Oh my goodness. Anything anyone wants to talk about? Any issues? Things that have come to your attention? Wow. Okay. This is going to be a record meeting, 35 minutes. Anything else? Motion to adjourn.
if anybody cares to see what the BLS protocols look like, I have a copy up here if you want to look through.
Yeah.
But I do want to look at it. That sounded bad.
You're welcome to come and take a peek at it if you want to see it.
All right, thanks, everybody.